a very mature performance, I thought, from Arsenal today. It wasn't an enjoyable game for the neutrals, I didn't think. I thought it was quite, you said tetchy, I think that was the word.
Well, I didn't think it was, there was some tetchy moments. I actually thought, from a professional point of view, that it was a high-quality game. Not particularly offensive.
Yeah.
But both defences, both midfields were strong. Everybody doing their jobs. Everybody now down. And therefore, there isn't going to create a lot of space.
Yeah.
And you've seen many big teams over the years do that, kind of cancel each other out. It's not cancelling each other out. It's just defenders, world-class defenders having the upper hand, which they did today. But they found a breakthrough, albeit by a massive deflection, by the way. There's no way that shot was going in, other than the hitting Aki just on the side of his shoulder or whatever, and the goalie being completely out of position.
Well, it felt like another game where we didn't see anything of Haaland at all. I think the first half, he had a moment where he brought the ball down beautifully, and there was a little shot that he had a little, but there was nothing on him today.
Yeah, and funny enough, right at the end, he emotionally gets involved with someone on the sidelines as he's walking off the pitch. Yet actually on the pitch, he looked unemotional at times, like he wasn't in the game.
No.
And sometimes when you are a striker, I've had many strikers over the years sort of come to me and say, I didn't feel like I was in the game, Gaffer. I didn't get enough of the ball. And you kind of become emotionally detached. And I think that's where he is actually at the City at the moment. He looks like he's not actually enough in the game to bring the best out of him.
Well, Arteta's been criticised in the past sometimes with his oval emotionalness and sometimes in these kind of occasions. But today, I thought he was very composed. The team reflected that as well. And I think, Arsenal fans got to be over the moon. So let's head back over to the Emirates, where we're going to speak to a former Arsenal champion, Perry Groves, who's still there, who was at the game. Perry, Arsenal, they've got to be feeling confident now. It's atonement for last season's blip. Is this the start of something very special for Arsenal, Perry?
Well, I think psychologically, Madge, I said before the game that if Arsenal could win this, I felt that every chance gone and winning the Premier League title this season. If they got beat, then it would be too much psychologically, damaging. And Pardew mentioned there about, the spectacle. I was lucky enough to be here. It was like a game of chess, like two elite teams, like just trying to manoeuvre themselves around. There was a lot of respect, obviously, was on the pitch. I wasn't particularly confident because Bukayo Saka obviously wasn't playing, and I think that's a massive loss for Arsenal. But then, if you put on the positive side, I know Marcelli come on in the second half, but you've won that without arguably your best player in Bukayo Saka. I have to say Declan Rice was absolutely outstanding. When people were saying, 105 million, I think Graeme Souness was saying, he doesn't find the pass, whatever. If you watch that game today, and he was playing in a different sort of position because Jorginho was just behind him, but he was box to box, he was cutting out, he was intercepting, his passing was really good. And Mikel Arteta, sometimes, when you make your substitutions and you think, right, I've got a gut feeling, and all four of the subs were involved in the goal. Yeah. All four of the goals, he puts Thomas Partey on, obviously that midfield, it's a great raking ball, isn't it, from the quarterback position. Yeah. Tomiyasu, I have no idea why he's in the left, inside left position, and he's playing left back. But I think that was maybe a bit of confidence of Arsenal going into the game, where they thought, right, we're going to go and try and win this. So then his decision to head it into Kai Havertz, he's composure to chest it and lay it back to Martinelli. And there is fortune, obviously, it comes off of Nathan Ake's backside. But you have to be brave enough to make your luck. And I think that's what they did with that goal, because, say, Tomiyasu being that far forward. And I looked at the Man City body language, Pards, when they conceded. There was a slump in their shoulders.
Big slump.
Yeah, exactly. There's no sort of rousing each other, going to get the ball, come win. I don't think they believed they could get back into the game. And there was another probably 8 and 9 minutes. And I'm sitting here, Sam one side and Crook the other, saying it's done and dusted, and going, no, they will get a chance. The top teams always, they didn't. They didn't even look like they believed they could get a chance. And I think this goes back to the Community Shield, when I've mentioned it time and time again, where Trossard scored in the 11th minute of added time. Arsenal won it on penalties. Psychologically, at the top level in sport, Park, you know what it's like. It is huge when you actually do believe that you can beat the opposition. It's been well documented. Arsenal have lost 12 on the trot before this to Man City. Arteta had lost 7 on the trot against Pep Guardiola. This is a massive, massive statement win for Arsenal, because it wasn't the free-flowing Arsenal, but at the top level, when you're playing, obviously, North London derbies, when you're playing against Liverpool, when you're playing against you're not going to get a free-flowing game, really, are you? Because all those teams are at the same level.
Yeah,
So
but I mean, going back to a couple of points you made there. Firstly, I think he had the assurance to make those substitutions because of the way his team was playing. You know, they was in control, and as you say, with Rice there, they looked like they got a little bit more kind of nous about what they're doing. There was a real confident air, and I was seeing that coming through the screen. But for the manager, as you say, to make those substitutions, them all having a hand in the goal, is quite unique, and he definitely enjoys his glass of wine in about 35 minutes.
It'll be interesting to see how the interviews are with Pep afterwards, because obviously losing against Wolverhampton Wanderers, away last weekend, losing this game, and sometimes there is a zeitgeist, and there's a moment where the pendulum swings, the sort of the force swings to the opposition. And I think it started in the Community Shield, and I think it's carried on in this game. And from the Premier League in general, let's be honest, you got 4 teams up there now. I mean, I don't know what you think, Madge, from Spurs' point of view. I think your squad probably ain't going to be strong enough to have a title challenge, but you're definitely going to be like in and around the top 4, aren't you?
Yeah, I think top 4 is something to be looking at now, especially with the start we've had. But like you said, that squad, the thinness of the squad is what worries me. But as we saw today with the substitutions that Arteta was able to make and had the difference in the game, we don't have that at the moment. We've had one window with BeIN, so yeah, it makes a very interesting Premier League, and we've already said that looking from 1 to 10 at the moment in the Premier League, is very exciting.
I mean, you could say the top 4 at the moment, which is Spurs, Arsenal, Man City, and Liverpool, but Newcastle. I mean, the way they played against the champions of France, and the way they're conducting this little run they're on since them couple of defeats. But Pep's teams always start like this a little bit.
Yeah.
They're in and out, not quite right. And then after Christmas, they really get into gear. Let's be honest, that's when they're at their real peak. So we got a long, long way to go. But Perry's right in one point, which I think is very, very crucial. Forget about how Man City feel. I think actually for the Arsenal players, there's this now psychological barrier they've broken. They beat them in the Charity Shield. They beat them again today. It will give them that assured confidence going into every game.
Do you know what you said there, Pards? It's the assurance. Going into games, they're going to be tight games from now to the end of the season.
Of course.
Where before Arsenal might have not had that experience. You got a lot of young players last season. I looked at the 2 centre-halves, say Gabriel and Saliba. They weren't troubled by it. I know Erling Haaland probably didn't get a lot of service, but Saliba makes a massive difference to this Arsenal back 4. He gives the other... It's always a centre-half, isn't it, who gives the other 3 in the back 4 or your other 3. It gives them confidence. Yeah. And Saliba is one of those. He's like a Rolls Royce who plays in that right side because he's quick, he's strong, and he's just very dominant. So Jorginho played well as well, to be fair. He gives, he accepts the ball in tight situations where the crowd, trust me, here in the first 15, 20 minutes, the crowd were really nervy because David Raya didn't start off particularly well. He gave the ball away a couple of times. He got closed down by Phil Foden, didn't he, where everybody in the stadium thought it was a goal.
Yeah, I thought it was in.
Yeah, and then he had a couple of crosses that he came for. So there was an uneasiness here, but you forget all about when you win 1-0, that is about grinding it out. Grinding these difficult situations, different games out. And Arsenal couldn't do that last season. They've got that little bit of character this season, and I think Declan Rice has added to that so much.
Fantastic. Former league winner there, Perry Groves, former Arsenal league winner. Perry Groves, very excited, I can hear there. He's excited. He's got
the Arsenal shirt on there, hasn't he, a little bit? But you got the Spurs shirt on, so I'm up against it here a little bit.
Well, what shirt are you in? Newcastle and West Ham?
Well,
halfway.
Yeah.
You got the half and half.
Yeah, and the Palace.
And the Palace, of course.